Welcome to another exciting episode of FinTechs. Great news for tech lovers as OnePlus is set to launch its compact flagship smartphone, the OnePlus 13t, later this month in China, featuring a 6.3-inch display, a powerful Snapdragon 8 Elite chipset, and an impressive 6,200 mAh battery in a lightweight 185G body. As reported today, the device aims to offer flagship-grade performance in a more pocket-friendly form factor, challenging the notion that smaller phones must compromise on battery life or features. Display. Featuring a 6.31-inch OLED panel with a 1.5K resolution and 120Hz refresh rate, the OnePlus 13t offers a premium viewing experience in a compact form factor. The device boasts a flat display design, enhancing usability and potentially appealing to users who prefer this aesthetic over curved screens. Despite its smaller size, the 13t doesn't compromise on durability, sporting an IP68 rating for water and dust resistance. The phone's design also includes a new shortcut key, adding to its functionality. At just 185G, it's significantly lighter than its larger sibling, the OnePlus 13, which weighs 210G, making it more comfortable for one-handed use and pocket-friendly. Performance and battery. Powered by Qualcomm's Snapdragon 8 Elite chipset, the device offers top-tier performance for gaming, multitasking, and AI tasks. It boasts up to 16 GB of LPDDR5X RAM and 512 GB of UFS 4.0 storage, ensuring smooth operation and ample space for apps and media. The standout feature is its massive 6,200 mAh battery, which utilizes advanced silicon-carbon materials for improved efficiency. This powerhouse is complemented by 80W wired fast charging and 50W wireless charging capabilities, addressing the long-standing concern of battery life in compact smartphones. Market entry. At a mid-range premium price point, the OnePlus 13t is rumored to launch in India at 54,990 Indian rupees, approximately $665. While global pricing details remain unconfirmed, the device is positioned to compete with other compact flagships like the iPhone 16e. The official release is slated for later this month in China, with potential global availability to be announced in the future. This pricing strategy aims to attract users seeking high-end performance in a smaller form factor without breaking the bank. Let's switch mic with our experts.
All right, so today we're going to dive into something that I think a lot of people are curious about, and that is the ultra-wide camera.
Okay.
Specifically, how some of these new phones stack up when it comes to their ultra-wide capabilities.
Ultra-wide is really interesting right now.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like the forgotten lens in a way. You know, people are always talking about the main sensor, the telephoto, but ultra-wide has become so important, and
especially for like landscapes and group shots.
Exactly, if you're trying to fit a whole bunch of people in, or you want to get that really dramatic shot of a building or something.
Yeah.
Ultra-wide is where it's at.
Absolutely. We have some early info on the OnePlus 13t, and I'm curious to see how it kind of stacks up next to these other big players like the iPhone 16 Pro Max, Xiaomi 14 Ultra, Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, you know, all the heavy hitters.
Yeah, well, let's break it down and see what we've got. So the OnePlus 13t, you know, we're working with some information that suggests a 50-megapixel sensor for that ultra-wide camera.
Okay.
And a 120-degree field of view.
Okay.
Now, 120 degrees, that's becoming pretty standard, I would say.
Yeah, that sounds about right for flagships.
They're these flagship phones.
Yeah. How does that compare, like, directly to some of the other phones?
So if you look at the iPhone 16 Pro Max, for example, that's expected to also be around 120 degrees.
Okay.
So you're going to get a very similar field of view there.
Okay.
But then you've got companies like Xiaomi who, with the 14 Ultra, are known to push those boundaries a little bit further.
Okay, so they might go even wider.
They might go even wider.
Wow.
And that's where you really start to see a difference in terms of just sheer width. You know, how much of the scene you can capture.
Gotcha. So like OnePlus and iPhone, kind of similar in terms of how much they can see at that wide angle, but then Xiaomi may be pushing it a little bit further.
Exactly.
But it's not all about just like how much you can fit in the frame, right?
No, absolutely not.
What about the actual quality at those extreme angles?
Right. And this is where it gets really interesting because the OnePlus 13's ultra-wide is described as having good definition.
Okay.
And, from what we're seeing, it's likely going to be comparable to something like the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra in practical use.
Interesting. So maybe not the widest, but like really good quality.
Yeah, I think that seems to be what they're aiming for.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
that balance between a wide enough field of view to be competitive,
Right.
but also making sure that the image quality is really solid across that entire field of view.
Right, because I know that sometimes when you get those super duper wide lenses,
Yeah.
you get a lot of distortion on the edges and stuff like that.
Exactly, and that requires some pretty heavy software processing to correct.
Yeah.
So you might be able to capture more in the frame,
Yeah.
but it might not be as sharp as
Yeah.
something with a slightly narrower lens, but where the optimization is really good.
Okay.
And it sounds like OnePlus is kind of focusing on that with the 13T.
Gotcha. So it seems like, the OnePlus 13T is shaping up to be like a solid contender.
Yeah.
It's going to be right up there with the other flagships in terms of field of view.
Right.
And the image quality sounds like it's going to be top notch.
Yeah, I think it comes down to what's important to you as a user.
Yeah.
Do you need that absolute widest possible shot, even if it means you might sacrifice a little bit of sharpness at the edges?
Right.
Or are you okay with a slightly narrower field of view,
Yeah.
but knowing that the image quality is going to be consistently good?
Yeah.
And I think that's a really interesting question that people should think about when they're looking at these new phones.
Absolutely. I mean, it's
Yeah.
really cool to see how, OnePlus is approaching this. And it's really going to come down to personal preference, like you said.
Yeah.
Some people might really want that crazy wide angle.
Yeah.
Other people might want that perfect clarity. So
Exactly.
it's an exciting time to see what these phones can do.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for breaking that all down for us.
No problem.
I think that was really helpful. And for everyone listening, make sure to check back for more deep dives as we get more info about these upcoming phones.
Absolutely. There's always something new on the horizon.